Well, my name's Thomas Traphagan. My wife here is Andrea Traphagan. We live in the far east, northeastern California in Lassen County. We farm organic grains and alfalfa. We produce the alfalfa for the Petaluma market, organic dairies, and the grains we farm here on our farm at 5,300 feet elevation in a little valley in the Madeline Plains. And we also just purchased another 400 acres down in Standish, which is only about 30 miles away. So we have been farming for 20 years in this area. But I want to make sure that people that have 10 acres out there understand that this is something that they can do as well. This is not something that's just to the big boys. And the reason I say that is because I did not start out as a big boy. I came up and purchased this ground. It was out in the middle of nowhere. Our population is 20 people in a small valley. And this farm here that I purchased was very cheap. Nobody else wanted it. The reason why is they didn't know if there was water here. There was nothing but sagebrush, and it looked like a lot of work. But that's what I was able to afford. I didn't have much, and I had to immerse myself into the farming game, whether I was growing 10 acres or I was growing 100 acres. And so we started buying equipment, and it dawned on us that if we are going to be in the game of farming, then we should look at doing our own product and bagging it and selling it right to the public. I did talk to UC Davis, and he came up, David Lyle from the area, and came to my office, and I put a big paper on my wall, in the back of my wall, and I drew out my farm, and I said, David, I said, I've got my 2 pivots now. I said, this is my property. I want to do more. I want to do more with it. What can I do more? So David looked at it and he says, Tom, why aren't you doing something that is producing straight for the public? So we started that process. And in doing so, he had me contact you guys there at California Wheat Commission. And so I tried to immerse myself a little bit in what you're doing, and it got us more excited. One of the reasons why we began producing grains is it really came out to be quite simple. One thing that all the farmers were doing was raising through their rotational pattern on the alfalfa, was that they were rotating in wheat for wheat hay. My reasoning for wanting to do grains is that I wanted a more valuable crop, and I wanted a more stable crop. So when I can produce grain and put it through our flour mill and then sell it right straight to the consumer, they're going to be getting a much healthier, much better product right straight from the farm, which they can come up and visit and see. And I will be getting a price for that grain that I have produced more stable.
Well, and in addition to that, he's always wanted to put feed people. He's always wanted to have a food product that we grew that people put on their table. To me, it's humbling and exciting to know that that process is going to make someone bread or pancakes in the morning or some other wonderful thing. And it all started with our fields. And we sat down and we said, well, if we're gonna do this, we need to, really be thinking about how we're going to approach it. Because to me, the idea of getting this equipment and the buildings and all the stuff, I was thinking, I don't see how we can do this. When he rolled in with a combine and he took like a big portion of our savings, and this combine rolls in, I'm all, what in the world is that? And
it's your
he's
Christmas
like,
present.
Yeah. And he goes, oh, well, we're going to need something to harvest all that grain. And I go, well, I thought we were praying about that. He goes, well, I already got my answer. He goes, you better get on board. When I finally got my confirmation that, yeah, this is the way we need to go. And as we started doing this, everything that seemed impossible, we found people and places fell into place. We found enthusiasm like from you that kept us going when we were like, how are we going to keep going?
We decided to call our mill Mile High Mill and Grain Company for one simple reason. We grow our crops at 5,300 feet elevation. So that kind of tells people when they're purchasing our flour that it's grown in a different elevation than what they might find in other flour. The walls are going up, the concrete's been poured, the flour mill has been purchased. So we're looking at July, August, we will be starting to produce some flour. And this is from our crops from last fall. And then, of course, we're going to run right into our new crop of this year that we're bringing in. So we'll be having our red hard, or that's all, everything we do is organic. And we'll have our red hard wheat spring, our hard white spring, and our soft winter wheat. And we do have some specialty grains. I think some of our flavor names, I think we're going to be giving it, what was it, Honey Lake Flour and Janesville
Flouring Mill,
things like that.
Milford Flour Mill.
And that's staying in the idea of the history of our Lassen County. And people will be able to designate us. And that's what we want them to do. We really want to push the idea of agritourism. So we're going to want people to come in and visit us. We want people to come in, and you may not be able to go in and put your hands on the flour and all that stuff, but you'll be able to see the process from what we take from the field, the machinery it takes, the ability to clean the seed, and then when it goes into the flour mill itself. And that's what we really want to do. We want to get everybody involved in the knowledge of how we do it, what's going in your grain, and I want to answer enough questions as best as my ability so they're happy and they have knowledge of where it's all coming from.
You know, we do everything certified organic, but we also make sure that everything that we do is efficient. One, to save all our resources because we're a steward over our land. And being a good steward means that we have to take responsibility for everything that goes into it and on it. That's something that's really important to us, that we stay organic and we're conscious of our environment and what we're contributing to it. So that way, you know, in the end game, the land stays protected and it's able to be passed on for another generation.